more important to have a draft you play well and you're confident with than having a draft you never played before, or like have 1 or 2 games scrims with and you're playing against something you don't really know how to play matchups or interactions with. So it's having your identity is really important, I think, when the league is so close.
Hey guys, Parks Owsley here with the Shotcaller, joined by Zven, the bot laner for TSM. Congratulations on your win. I know that you guys have been kind of struggling a little bit in the last couple of weeks, and you actually got a win on Ezreal, which I feel like is somewhat of an iconic pick for you. But you actually haven't been performing as well on it this season, so congrats on getting a win back on him. How is the team doing right now?
Well, I think everyone's happy we won, because I think if we lost today, it would have been a major hit to everyone's confidence and hopes for making playoffs and overall team atmosphere. So win today felt like not really a win, but more like a we didn't lose kind of win, right? So it's important for the team to win today.
And obviously you guys are gunning for the playoffs and then for Worlds. And since you don't have many points right now, the gauntlet would also be pretty close. So have you guys done the math and stuff? Is it even possible to make it to the gauntlet if you don't secure a playoff spot?
I haven't done the math, but I'm sure it's not possible. We only have 10 points, I believe. So no matter what the teams that are in playoffs this split will have more points than us. So I haven't done the math, but I'm sure we can make it to gauntlet. But the gauntlet is not my hope anyways right now. It's for sure American playoffs at the very least. So
for sure. And is that even more pressure? And how does the team actually respond to that? I know you said that the win today was really nice and kind of helped you guys relax a little bit. But how do you and all the players respond to the pressure of not only TSM fans, but being on the verge of not making playoffs as well?
There's always more pressure on you when there's no safety net. Like in the past, when you have a safety net, we always have 90 points in spring split or whatever. We can always, very worst case, just make top something and get to Worlds by points. Like G2, we were always qualified for Worlds before playoffs even ended, right? We were we're in the finals now. We're at Worlds no matter what. So you have less pressure, but at the same time, it shouldn't matter in the end. You should just play to win everything and win playoffs, and that's the goal, right? To win the playoffs. So yes, there's more pressure because there's no safety net to rely back on. We still have points, so it's fine. We can lose this match, but in the end, it shouldn't change anything in how you feel and how you play. So it doesn't matter, I suppose.
And do you feel like, from what I've heard, a lot of the other teams still give you guys a ton of credit for being very strong. I don't know if that's all just the past knowledge and understanding of TSM, if it's all the scrims that people are playing against you guys, or just maybe your understanding of the game. Do you feel like that is helpful, that other people do have confidence in you, people that are smart, or is that also kind of just piling on with all the pressure?
I mean, other people's opinions, whether it's an online analyst, a social media fan or whatever, or it's a coach, it's an analyst from another team, or it's a caster, doesn't really matter to me, because them having an opinion on my team doesn't make me play better or worse. So it changes nothing for me. I don't watch interviews of anyone else at least from NA, right? And I don't care about casters' opinions or their analyst narratives, right? They're just made up to fit the idea of whatever you're trying to say. They don't actually always make sense. So I stopped watching post-game lobbies or pre-game lobbies, whatever. I don't think about people's opinions anymore. So only thing matters is what I think about my team and my teammates think about me and my team and my own coach's opinion, and that's what matters to me, I think.
And how has it been kind of, finding this identity and what you all think of each other and how you mesh well? Because I know, you guys have been successful, TSM has been successful, and when everybody gets together, it is kind of difficult to make sure that everybody meshes well. Do you feel like you have finally kind of, begun to figure out what the most optimal play is for you guys, or is it something that you're still really, really working on?
We have not figured out our identity yet at all. I think in Spring Split, after 5 weeks, we already had an identity that we played towards, and our drafts were very similar every game, and our playstyle was very similar, and it worked for us because we were sticking to that plan every game. Then in playoffs, we stopped playing what was our thing and started playing what everyone else was playing because we didn't trust in our own thing, because we were the only ones playing that thing, so we didn't believe in it. and that's why we dropped the ball in playoffs, I think. And also, my performance wasn't great, but I don't think we have a core right now. Identity, as you said, we just kind of play, and it's not very good right now. Our drafts are different every week, whereas the good teams have a very obvious draft or like a very obvious idea of how they want to draft every game, and we don't have that, so we're struggling. And yeah.
Did you get much practice with the European teams when they came over? Because I feel like we did see a little bit of the of NA teams kind of coming down and strengthening their own identity after the Rift rivals, because they got a lot of international scrims, even the ones that didn't play there. Did you guys get much of an opportunity to do that?
We did have scrims scheduled with both G2 and Fnatic, so there's that, but I don't think scrimming someone else from a different region really changes that much, to be honest. But it's different to scrim them versus normal scrim partners, so you get a different idea of what they play, but I don't think it changed us specifically.
So helpful, but not necessarily huge.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the big culture change for you then? Coming over from Europe, you've been here for a split and a half. You've had some really good plays and good games and some not as much. Has the culture of practice and all the distractions and stuff of LA and all of that, has that impacted your ability to learn and grow and play? What's the kind of adjustment been like for you?
I mean, there's a few things like solo queue here is different because a lot of things, ping is one of them, and the other thing is the timing of everything here is different. We scrimmed earlier here than we did in EU, 1-2 hours earlier. We also start LCS much earlier here in LA. For example, in EU LCS, the earliest match is always 6 p.m. for Berlin time, right? So your local time is 6 p.m. And here on Sundays we start like 12, so it's like very different time zone you scrim and different times you play tournaments for. And I mean, there's not too much difference for like people because I don't go out that much. I go out for food on my free days, which you have every 2 weeks basically, or every other week. I play solo queue whole day, every day, other than the scrims, so I don't experience the difference too much. Of course, people are very different here in America and in solo queue and they are in EU solo queue. Of course, there's the whole NA solo queue sucks thing going on, right? Everyone believes that because we lost Rift rivals, which doesn't matter. But yeah, I don't think there's too much of a difference other than like the time zone or like the time of the day difference.
So there's not, yeah. And there's not much difference, you really think, between like how scrims are set up and how teams operate kind of in their individual structures in the day-to-day?
No, I think that scrims scheduled are the same way as they are in EU. One big group on Skype or one big group on something, sort of media. It's done by the coaches, not by players, and players don't do anything else than wake up for scrims. There's like a meeting before scrims for most teams, I assume, and I think everything we do in G2, we do here in TSM as well. Different times or different amounts of time put into different things, but all in all, it's the same thing in the end. We have a meeting, we scrim, have break, get food, scrim again, and then solo queue in the night is usually what I'm doing. So it's just more or less the same, but with different times put into different things.
Awesome, cool. I'm always curious about the different structures of all the different regions. I'm really curious about the East since they're always so dominant. Do you have any thoughts on patch 8.15, which you guys will be on next week? I know you haven't scrimmed against it, or you probably haven't scrimmed on it yet. But do you have any thoughts, through solo queue and kind of seeing some of the patch notes?
I mean, I don't think there's too much difference in the patch. There's not too many big or small nerfs. There's like some small nerfs and buffs here and there, but nothing too major. However, Akali is reworked on the new patch, so maybe she'll enter pro play. I'm not actually sure, but I assume she'll probably be played by someone. So that's the only one that's like an interesting part of the patch, I suppose.
And do you think with the AD carry item changes, it seems like they're kind of buffing a little bit of the early game, taking away maybe some of the 6 item power spike, which we don't get to very often anyway. Do you feel like that is going to be somewhat helpful and kind of make people excited about playing AD carry again?
Well, making the items cheaper but less effective is not really a buff. It's just more of like you get an item earlier, so you get the effect, aka the crit enhanced and the true damage thing. It's earlier, but it does less damage than before, so it's like not really a buff, but more like you play an early power spike, but you're weaker in the late game, which is kind of what I wanted, so I guess it's a step in the right direction, but it feels like the meta is still going to be dominated by champs that use Blade of Ruin King, Trinity Force, Quincel's Rage Blade, Storm Racer into like something else than like normal items. Whereas Infinity Edge, Fire Cannon users are kind of like still on the worst end. So I think greedy carries are still kind of in dumpster. I don't like Saya, for example, or like Jin, but they have different reasons for being played. Whereas the ones that dominate the meta right now are like Ashvaros and Ezreal and Saya, and Saya is because of Rakan more than anything, not because of Saya being OP, right? But like the AD carries that don't build the normal items or like crit items are still the most dominant. So I don't think the idea of the rework is successful, but it's getting better.
So still stepping in the right direction, but maybe not quite what we all thought of or expected from the beginning. Do you have any other thoughts on some of the other teams this year or the summer split that have really stepped up? I mean, Optic comes to mind. They're on a 5-game win streak right now. You guys played them week 9, so we may see, they may be part of what gets you into playoffs or not. Depending on your road to them to that point. Any thoughts on them or some of the other teams that didn't do as well last split that are doing really well right now?
Well, FlyQuest was 9th place last split, I believe, and they're doing pretty well now. They're like 3rd or something, or 4th, I'm not sure. And they have gotten a good record. I think teams like FlyQuest and Optic have one thing going for them, is that they know what their identity is and how they play the game, and they play towards that strength every game. They pick up niche things that they draft every game and play every game. Things like Vars Brown, FlyQuest comes to mind. They picked that early game. Vars Brown comes to mind. They picked that early in the drafts and did well on them. And I knew how to play it, and it's very simple to play, very easy to play. And Optic has also their own style drafting, which is very late game focused and very like, okay, we're just gonna farm for late game and hope we can survive and win late game by having strong late game, right? That's their playstyle. Most of the games they have things like Victor, so they have a Camille blind pick who was losing lane, but late game he was winning as a GP. They always play like tanks bot that can't lose lane, and they try to just farm and play around power evil most of the time to have hyper carries in their team comp. And yeah, it's a good playstyle that they have. And most important thing is that they know their playstyle, right? And they have their identity. They know what is their way to win, their win condition in the games, and that's more important than having a good draft sometimes.
So you think just the identity itself. So maybe if TSM can kind of find that, do you think that you would then kind of be back up at the very top of the standings?
Yeah, I'm sure if we actually get our drafts together and draft the same thing more than once, LCS will start being better. It's kind of like having a draft you're comfortable with and confident in is more important than having a good draft sometimes. Like TL could have a draft that had Vladimir bot, Yasuo, and I don't know, whatever top champ, Camille. And it would still be a bad draft even if they had a good draft, right? Because TL doesn't play that style that well compared to botting carries, mid mage, Malzahar, Oriana, etc. Top lane, tank, and jungle flexible. That would be better draft TL, even if it's the worst against the enemy team's draft. You know what I'm trying to say? Mm-hmm. That it's more important to have a draft you play well and you're confident with than having a draft you never played before, or like have 1 or 2 games scrims with and you're playing against something you don't really know how to play matchups or interactions with. So it's having your identity is really important, I think, when the league is so close.
Definitely, I would agree. And I don't really know how teams go about finding that, but I'm curious if you guys on TSM, and I know that a bunch of people there have synergies with each other, maybe 1 or 2 other people. Like obviously you and Mithy have been playing together for a very long time. But have you ever just sat down and everyone just pretends like they're playing solo queue or something and just kind of analyze how each person optimally would play their own game, just to see, if there are strengths that you can play off of that you just haven't discovered yet because you haven't found them?
I mean, we didn't have like that happen to us, but we did have to talk about, okay guys, how do we actually play the game? In G2, for example, it came very naturally because everyone was arguably the best laners in their role and everyone was able to play everything. So whatever is our identity depends on every single game, on every single draft, on every team, right? We prepare. Against this team, top carries are effective. Against this team, bot carries is more effective. So let's just draft towards that. And you guys are the carries this game, and the next game, top is the carry, and mid, like there's a idea that the most ideal way to draft and play is to have flexibility to play everything. And everyone can carry, everyone can play a more defensive, supportive role, right? But in TSM, I don't think we are able to play every champ in the whole game. So we have to ban certain champions and certain picks. We just can't play ourselves, or we can't, work around. So we can't be perfect. So you have to like just adjust to that sometimes and just sit down one day and choose. I'm sure that teams like TL have very obvious playstyle, right? Bot lane carries. Top tanks it. Jungle plays towards bot lane every game. Mid lane tanks it by playing maybe bad matchups or playing like mages to have good impact in team fights or have CC, right? And that's their playstyle. And they said, I'm sure one day they were like, guys, fuck this and let's just play this every game. And it works because they have, a good AD carry player, a good support player, and they're good in lane as well. And that's their win condition most of the games. And that's better than having that the whole way through than having like trying to play things you can't play. Obviously, at some point that will fail you because you can't play one style the whole life unless you're Uzi. Then it's fine. Then you can play that way. But yeah, that's why TL is winning all games here because they're really good at their style and they're really good players as well. But once they play against the best teams in the world, maybe it will fail. Same thing goes for, other teams in the world that only play one playstyle the whole time. Like Kingstone of Worlds last year was a team that played around Khan a lot in the summer split, right? You go to Worlds, suddenly it's around bottom every single game, and Longsu was Kingstone now, Longsu back then was struggling because their identity was not the meta at Worlds, but they haven't played that playstyle themselves that much compared to a team like Samsung, who was the opposite. And there was just the meta was favoring them. So ideally, you want to have, perfect players that can play every role and every style. But sometimes the meta favors different teams, and you gotta figure out what your playstyle is and stick with it, even if it's bad for the meta. If you can't play everything, you just find one playstyle.
Well, I look forward to you guys figuring that out. I look forward to seeing, if people have developed well enough as we do go into Worlds in a few weeks or in a couple months, I guess. Thank you so much for the interview. I do really appreciate it. Before we go, I will challenge you to a best of one in rock, paper, scissors.
1, 2, show.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rock, paper, scissors. Ah, dang it. All right. Thank you so much. And thank you guys for watching. We will catch you next time. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching that video. To see some more Shotcaller League of Legends content, you can find some videos off to the side or like and subscribe. And also please share it with your friends. Thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it, and we will see you guys next time.